Okay. Hi, this is Manal, and I cordially welcome you on behalf of Platinum Global Solutions to our series of interview sessions. We are proud and glad to have you as a keynote speaker at the upcoming Global IT Security Conference. Before we kickstart the interview session, I would like to have a brief introduction about you, your professional career, and the specific area of expertise in which you're working.
All right, well, thank you. I'm Patrick Hamilton. I've had, about 30 years in the computer industry, all the way from teenage years till now. Started all the way with a computer program and have ended up here with cybersecurity. I have a master's in network security, bachelor's in information technology, and have worked with military systems, done deployments with the U.S. Army to support that in operations with Iraq and Afghanistan for cybersecurity and information technology for intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance systems. And so I got a very broad width of knowledge and expertise ranging all over, just as well as, like I said, programming, documentation standards, and troubleshooting, as well as cybersecurity, primarily on the blue team side of things.
Okay, that's great. Let's move on to our first question. Tell me, what do you think about the ongoing global pandemic situation, and what do you think the impact is going to be, and it is on the impact of the businesses worldwide?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things is that have been going towards is with remote working or telecommuting has been something that does exist, but it hasn't been really grasped. It's more or less just for the road warriors out there doing sales or on travel, but not really very well accepted. Now, with the lockdowns that have occurred throughout various parts of the world and people having to stay home, it's becoming more acceptable, and that there's really not a essential need, depending of course on the business, but not really a need to have this office space where everyone comes together to work when things can be done remotely. So by remote work, that does pose some challenges of how to keep the communications secured as well as the data properly secured when being accessed. Even though a pandemic is a very terrible and tragic time to go through, it is actually, I believe, a benefit in the technology side of communications to that people see that it's actually possible to do it, to run businesses across state borders, whether they're states or countries that may be in lockdown situations.
Great. According to your experience, briefly explain what is the current situation of the IT industry and what's your forecast related to it in the post-COVID era?
Um, well, it depends on which part of the world. So, for example, here in Australia, it kind of caught things by surprise that some IT, I shouldn't say companies, but the government departments or businesses were not really ready for such a situation. Their IT departments either had lacking of budget, especially cybersecurity was more of an afterthought, still low budgeted. But because of what has happened with the need to remotely work and to have things secured, seeing where there's now an importance for the IT budgeting, that new systems are being rolled out, databases. This is the 21st century. We should not be using pen and paper or email and spreadsheets, but databases and the means to secure it. So now cybersecurity, at least in this side world, is now being brought up in regards that it is a mandatory thing, because one of the big things that does occur is the social engineering attacks with phishing, especially spear phishing, which is actually seems to be surging of targeting executives and managers, especially CFOs.
Impressive. That's very impressive. Now, as a company, what changes have you introduced in terms of the business and operation strategies? And more importantly, how these changes, how do you see your company in context of these changes in the upcoming months and years?
My company, AirNet 2.0, we're looking at using essentially what is being come along in by other companies as the SOC in the box, where with the hardware appliances today, they're much cheaper. You don't need the full size big server, but now they're even smaller, or much smaller than even a laptop, where you can have Xeon servers, a lot of multi processing capabilities to allow a virtual environment. And with the virtual environment, you can stick a lot of security systems in place. So by having these small boxes around provides the means for lots of opportunities. For example, able to provide site-to-site encryption capabilities where people can work from home, and using, instead of say software VPNs, can use hardware systems to encrypt, which helps block any possible intruder from getting in, as well as to provide the means of the new catchphrase, machine learning, that these boxes have the ability to be upgraded later on with machine capabilities. One, for example, is to use advanced intelligence threat systems, that therefore these little units act like SOCs. They're automated to be at the tier 1 level, able to filter out all the alerts. So therefore, even users, business-minded people that may not understand cybersecurity can at least see a nice, cool dashboard like they are in the movies with the map and so forth, if any big red lights are occurring or not. So it helps make things automated and more cheaper than, say, hiring a full-size 24/7 MSSP or managed security service providers. And because of all these systems, like I said, with the virtual environment, adds future capabilities to be expanded upon, and also to get away from the cloud mentality that by having a number of systems work together, they can act in the grid computing that was introduced about a decade ago, and therefore helps to reduce the cost of relying on cloud servers.
Okay, that's quite impressive. Um, so talking about the e-conference now, the last question of the interview session. So what are you expecting from this e-conference, and what valuable insights the audience can expect from your presentation session?
Okay, well, what I would look forward to is the essentially it's the network with other people. Even though AI is coming along, it's still good to interact with other people, because I believe in brainstorming. Whether my idea is best or someone else's better helps make everything a whole lot better. So I look forward to the networking, especially in a global situation, helps to, I think, make things a whole lot better overall. As for the second part, what can the audience gain, is to see the way things are moving forward ahead, such as with cybersecurity using layered defense, even though that will still be applied, should no longer be done with specific appliances, such as you have one device that's your firewall, another device is your IDS or prevention system, and or a packet sniffer, or you use a virtual environment with a vulnerability scanner. But more or less that now it's becoming more of an all-in-one capability, where you can have one device using that can do multiple capabilities. Like I said, a SOC, a security operations center, instead of a small box that can now run things, rather than having a dedicated 1 to 5 employees perform cybersecurity for a company.
That sounds really amazing. So thank you so much, Patrick, for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we really look forward to your presentation session. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Well, thank you, and look forward to it.